gotta understand the enemy's not the man, it's the mindset. Killing my people that's in a similar to COVID. No sense. How you take a life without a motive? Tired of seeing protest, dying to see progress. For the person that'll win in the end, doesn't really matter what's the color of the skin. When the bullets scatter, when they bleed from within, haven't we shed more blood than these tears?
So Black Lives Matter. We see the Black Lives Matter movement across the world. My question to anybody, really, your thoughts on it. I kind of want to unpack it. If anybody really knows, what it really is, the movement, what the movement really is, and why is it such an argument online? Like you said, you spoke earlier about people. Every time Black Lives Matters comes up, you hear all lives matter. Or I seen the other day, we want to talk about Black Lives Matter. What about genocide? It's like, why is Black Lives Matter like a issue or a problem? I guess, does anybody want to kind of talk about that? Or
I feel like it's an issue because it all stems from equality. I think equality need to be taken serious. Like, we can all say everybody's created equal. No, we're not. Let's take equality serious, because if we take equality serious, then you're no different from me. I don't see no color. You're no different from me. You're no different from nobody in this room any different. If we all created equal, we need to live by that. That's what's missing. It's like they're ignoring the equal part, and it's getting out of hand. Yeah, it's really getting out of hand.
So you spoke, and I heard you say the word honor earlier when you're talking about young black man and Pastor Micah. Again, so many of your sayings are just like in a notebook of me, and you honor up, honor down, honor all around. I think honor is a big part in that as well. Like, how can somebody put on there, like, we talk about breast cancer, and we are all behind breast cancer, what about testicular cancer? Like, that's not an argument. Like, what about testicular cancer though? So like.
I think it's, so from where I'm from, I'll speak on the countryside, the country small town side. I think it's a lack of knowledge about the Black Lives Matter movement, as well as education and experience all in one. So I think you have a lot of people or individuals who maybe live in suburban areas, country areas, rural areas, who maybe haven't seen what really goes on, how you're treated versus me. How if we walk down the sidewalk at the same time of night at 11 o'clock at night, wearing the same outfit, how they ain't gonna see me or pay any attention to me, but they will be looking at you. I mean, I think it's just, and I think when the All Lives Matter thing comes on, I think they feel like by that movement, you're not caring about their life. And that's not the case. It's a lack of, and I think in order for someone to understand this movement, they're also going to have to open their eyes and realize, like, this is a problem. But unless you educate, and if you're just watching the media and you're watching the news every day, and you're not expanding your mind to realize that you and I are treated differently in certain situations, you're not going to understand the movement. But just because Black Lives Matter is a movement doesn't mean that we're all not important. It just means, I saw this thing on Facebook. It said, if you live on a road and everyone's house is, important, but someone's house is on fire and you call the fire department, doesn't mean your house doesn't matter. It means this fire needs to be put out. And that's kind of what it is. There is a problem within the Black community and how you're treated, and that needs to stop. And I think I take responsibility to educate. I'm dating a biracial guy. And this is the first time that someone who is biracial has come into my family, who is from the South. And so, I'm very vocal. I put it out there. So, the first conversation was, I have a new boyfriend and he's Black. And, I just put it out there. But since then, I've had to educate my family on things that are okay and not okay. So their eyes are open now, though, and they're understanding this movement. And I think that's because I am taking the responsibility in my family to educate my family and my friends on what's going on. My mom is like, she's on it now. Like, she is like advocating. But I'm proud of her, because any other time she wouldn't look at this. And I think that's why you're seeing this All Lives Matter, is people just aren't understanding, and they're not willing to understand.
Yeah, it's really hard for a lot of people to unpack all of what Black Lives Matter means, and even it's such sort of a broad attempt that they're going for that it's hard for a lot of people that even support it to fully unpack the initiatives that they're driving. And I think a lot of people, it's the easy route to, if, like you said, if they're just watching the news or they're not really exposed to other people from different cultures, it's kind of easy to just look at it and go, no, all lives matter. I don't like that phrasing. Yeah. They could have called it anything, and I feel like rather than people look at systemic racism or police brutality or stuff like that, no matter what they called it, there would have been some sort of backlash there.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I agree.
I'd like to weigh in. So a couple of things are coming up for me. So one, I think that we would be well served to look at the statement Black Lives Matter in the magnitude of what is really meant, which is that in our institutions and systems and the operations of our country and the way we engage people, that those deeply embedded beliefs that people of color are inferior to the dominant culture, that statement, Black Lives Matter, means that in every aspect of us being a society, we need to elevate the priority of Black lives, that because all people were created in the image of God, that they are not inferior. The idea that focusing on anything Black invokes this defensive posture that we cannot, as though folk are offended that we would focus on Black people. People are offended. And I think that at the heart of it is because in your core, whether you're conscious of it or not, you think that they have no right to be elevated, to be equal. Let's just, if I could just tell the truth. So when you believe that some attribute of your being makes you better than another human being, when you set out and intentionally create campaigns to dehumanize a people, and do it consciously and intentionally and plan out the demise and the denigration of an entire body of people for your own economic good, then at no time am I trying to hear you talk about these lives matter. Because from the history of the world, they don't matter. We instituted laws to say they were not even completely human, that they're a fraction of our humanity. It's all built in. So when we say Black Lives Matter, the folk who make the noise are offended that the very people that they consciously or unconsciously believe were beneath them should have an issue and should feel grateful that they even get to be here. So this is it. If I could say this, we talked about, you'll forgive, I'm not asking you to forgive me. Not asking you to forgive me. In the 60s, the civil rights era and our diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts since then, it has been to teach the dominant culture about others. Well, if we could just help white people to understand Black people, if we could just educate them and help them to see that we're not all bad. that's because folk came from it from the perspective that everybody else needs to assimilate into the dominant culture. We need to take on the behaviors and the thought patterns and conduct, and they became the standard. White people became the standard for measuring other people's behaviors and their value and their worth. At the heart of that's about ethnocentricity, that I think that my world, as I see it, is the norm and is all there is. And so what people are saying now is, no, Pumpkin, you don't set the standard. You don't run the show. You're not the only human walking the earth. Don't mistake my passion for anger or hatred. Don't get that twisted, right? This is about me advocating for humans. I'm a believer first. We were created in the image of God. Nobody gets to set the standard. God set the standard. God set the standard. And for when we think that somehow we are superior to anybody, the problem is with us, not with them. The problem is with us if we think we're superior in any way. So you take hundreds of years of the psychology of a people and you program them through every sphere and strata of society to believe they are less than. And then make it so that they have to prove their worth on a daily basis. They have to justify their existence. They have to make sure that they prove they are worthy of sitting at the table. But it's never enough. When you do that, then it's easy to be in this place where you think that any kind of noise or anything to the contrary is reprehensible because, well, I'll let you sit in my boardroom. I'll let you have a vote. I'll let you move into my neighborhood. I gave you a job. I'll let you come to my university. I'll let you join the club. I'll let you join the golf club, become part of the country club. And so people are saying now enough is enough. We can't say all lives matter if any group of people don't matter. And we have proof, we have records, we have history. And I'm not talking about any single incident, but I'm talking about a systematic, relentless treatment of a group of people that has created this imbalance, this outrageous situation that we could watch a man be killed on TV in broad daylight while folk are sipping on tea. And then berate that people for saying, we matter, please stop. So part of this for me is, and I'm finished. I'm finished. I promise you I'm finished. But I do not want people to be confused because the question is, how do we make a difference? It's no longer about any people trying to prove they are worthy of breathing. It's no longer about anybody having to prove or rationalize or justify their existence in the earth. If they walk the earth, it's because God wanted them here. He wanted them here. He wanted them here. And he decided what color skin we had, and he decided what our gender would be at birth. He decided what womb we would come through. How dare you? How dare you question that? And so the answer to how do we move it forward? How do we get better? It's about the people who have run the system and made the laws and legislated evil and maintain the imbalance and the injustice. It is about them, those who care. I'm not talking about the ones who don't care, because You can't, nobody can change your heart, but the ones who care and the ones who know it's wrong, it's for you to become informed and not depend on us to give you the information and education. It's for you to do the same work we've had to do and to get educated and become vocal and informed and work to overturn evil that is legislated. When a young man with the same record, a young black man with the same record as a young white man, and let me just say for the record that all of our children don't go to jail and we all don't live in the inner city. When they can have the same record, first offense, everything else is the same, this young man can get 26 years and this young man can get 2 years. That's common. That's a problem. So when we say Black Lives Matter, when we talk about Atlanta, why do you have to call the police on a brother asleep in a vehicle? Why wouldn't you call an ambulance or EMT, the emergency squad? But you call the police. The fact that you called the police is the big red flag that you already had it in your mind that he was not about the right thing, and the right response was to get law enforcement, not an emergency vehicle, because not the emergency squad, because he might be passed out, but you had to call the police. I'm gonna give you one more, and then I'm gonna stop because I'm all worked up. How is it? And I'm not digging up stuff, but I want you to get how it registers with us. How is it that a baby could be sitting in a park with whatever he had in his hand, but a baby, and be shot to death when a young white man could go into a synagogue and shoot up folk, and he makes it out alive? And shooting at police officers, and he makes it out alive. That's the stuff. We can cite case after case, but the issue is not citing cases. The issue is these things are have been, and will be until we fix them. That people of color and black people, and specifically black men, are treated in ways that are so beneath their dignity. And I'm not talking about people who are on the fringe and do bad things. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about our culture, our society having made a decision that no matter what they do, they are never good enough. They will never measure up. They will always have to explain themselves, no matter how many PhDs, degrees behind their name, no matter what they do. That's the evil. That's the evil. And so how do we fix it? Get to working on your heart. Get to working on your heart. I'm not talking about extremists. I'm talking about people who are afraid to say anything because they don't want to be rejected by their friends. And those who would call themselves allies. Do the work. Stand in the gap for our children, for us, for our husbands, our fathers, our brothers, our uncles. Do the work. And when you're sitting in a meeting and you hear people, when they refer to people of color, I promise you I'm going to stop. When you hear people that refer to people of color, I'm going to just say this in this room tonight. Y'all know I have nothing but love for you, but I got to tell you the truth. When we've referred to people of color, I've heard you use black people and inner city in the same sentence. And when you talked about white people, I heard you use country and suburb. Do you see that? I'm not talking about you, baby, but I'm talking about your statement. No, I get it. But do you understand what I'm saying? What? I didn't live in the inner city. I've never lived in the inner city. And I went, and we belonged to a gym that had marble on the walls. But in general, when we refer to people of color, black people, we're talking about poverty and we're talking about inner city and what have you. And so when you pigeonhole people like that, then you can maintain them being less valuable than you and keep doing what you do.
Wow, that's good. That's good.
I need some water.
So if I can, let's go back to the question about Black Lives Matter. So 3 weeks when this thing really started blowing up, I just didn't know how to deal with it. I found that there's a brother now. His name is Chase Stankel. He's a pastor of a multi-ethnic church outside of Grand Rapids. And I just reached out to him and said, I got to talk to somebody who's outside my community. I just need to talk. And he's like, let's Zoom. So we talked for an hour. And he encouraged me to support Black Lives Matter, that I need to put a Black Lives Matter in front of the church. And it's like, okay. And then so what I did is I went out to Black Lives Matter on the website and I signed up to be a subscriber. But then all of a sudden, here's where it gets confusing. The next thing I know is the next thing I get is a solicitation to defund the police department, and to do away with the police department. So then okay, wait a minute. That's not what I signed up for. I want to make a statement in my community that I want this thing to go away. And I want to not to just disappear, but I want to try to move to a place where it's out of communication and relationship. But the first thing you want to do is take that which offers security, even if it's imperfect, even if it's broken, and in this community it seems to work okay. It's like, okay, what do we do with that? Because that's not what I wanted to sign up for. I do want to say that Black Lives Matter, all lives matter, but no, that I want to love I want to see justice. That's what I want to see. I want Micah 6:8. I want to see mercy established in our community, and that takes on a whole different thing. It goes way beyond race or gender. It's all about who we are as neighbors. And that's where it all starts for me. I mean, it's like, how do I love my neighbor well? And that's why I'm here, is like, I want to better understand and learn, but as I lean into that, as a person who doesn't understand this, all of a sudden now I'm being asked to support them, and it's like, okay, that's not. So what do we do with that?
See, I think your energy was beautiful. It was beautiful. I think what it is what they're doing is hundreds and hundreds of years of our people getting towed down, sprayed with hoses. Now they changed it from hoses to guns and knees. Hold on, here, this the Black Lives Matter thing, this is where it coming apart. The energy that they're creating now, it'll never be fixed. They need it. That's why they talk about defunding police departments and stuff like that, because the energy they creating it broke something in us. Because now when the police and it never happened in Mansfield. When the police get behind me, you know where my mind go to?
Sure.
I'm ready for war. Yeah. Because I'm gonna get pulled over for no reason. For no reason. I'm qualified, insurance, license, everything. But at the end of the day, I take a chance of losing my life as soon as I roll that window down. It's that energy, because I keep seeing the same thing, and that's what it's doing. It's creating an energy to where we gotta fight. We actually gotta fight, because we can scream Black Lives Matter all we want, but when they doing this and doing this, what is that helping? The obvious is obvious. 1 + 1 is 2. That's how easy it is to settle this black and white race thing. It's easy. 1 + 1 = 2. Equality. Give us what we deserve. Give us our reparations. Give us our equal justice, our equal love, our equal care. And think sometimes, what if we reverse these roles? What if it was the black almighty against the whites? Black people consciously think about, we very considerate. We care about other people before we care about ourselves in the community. We'll help, we'll do whatever. And I'm not saying that it's some white people that don't do that, but we serious about love and respect. And until we get it, that's why excuse my French, we're gonna burn this mother effer down. The people, the higher ups, everybody that got some control, y'all can fix this by just being equal. Because until this all is over, it's gonna be this energy that we have. Because I feel the energy now. And I'm not mad at nobody in this room. I love everybody in this room. We all got the same outcome. We're gonna die. That's what we all got in common. Embrace that in each other. And we really took that serious, like, well, you know what? We all got an expiration date. I wanna treat people how I wanna be treated. Right. And be good with God.
And that comes out of relationships. I mean, and it's intentionality, and I guess that's the part that in our communities, it's just amazing when you think about the impact of the pandemic. I mean, it's just like everything got leveled. I mean, the world shut down for 3 months. And now we have this, and I think, I actually believe, as a pastor, this is an amazing time for us as human beings. And to lean into the things that Cheryl so eloquently lays out. And again, we can't miss it. So, as pastors, Micah, we've got to figure this thing out in our community. And part of the problem is, and I was thinking about this today, I was listening to Lecrae talk in an interview at Passion City Church in Atlanta with Louis Giglio and Dan Cathy from that owns Chick-fil-A, and reminding us that, part of the problem is our separated churches on Sunday morning. And why is that? Well, it exists because we have white churches and black churches, partly because the very reality is that you couldn't meet with us, back in the day. I mean, it was that separated, and we've got to get beyond that. And so the model of what you're doing down South County and what my friend Chase is doing in Grand Rapids, we've got to get to that point, because that's the most divided hour yet. Even if we're online, it's still divided, right? And I think we've got to figure that part out, because it's about being in a relationship. Because once you sit down in a relationship with someone, it changes the whole game. Once you're at the table.
Yep.
And I guess that's how do we create that within our community and risk the idea that I'm not going to get it right, I don't understand it, but I want to learn because I want this community to be better, because I know there's people in our community that need our help.
But within the community, so my question is going back, so within the community, I'm Ashland, so, I'm familiar, but systematically, because we can change every person that we talk to, whether it's the way I treat someone or someone else, or that trickles down to, but systematically though, where does that start? Because that's a totally different ballgame. I mean, I know a lot of the police officers in Ashland, they're great men. I mean, a lot of them are great, but there's always
a few women too. Kara's on team. So
yeah, they're great men. But one bad apple can ruin any police department. So systematically, where do we start to make that change?
I think that the cities, the states, the places that have declared racism as a public health issue, that the moment that you do that and you assign resources to investigate and explore, that's the beginning of getting, because right now, because prior to that, all up until, it has been stories and anecdotes and statistics even. I mean, you look at the work that OSU has done through their institute about bias and all of that the facts have been laid out there. But until the institutions and the systems publicly declare that this is a public health crisis that must be investigated. Now here's why, because that seems like just an extra formality that won't lead to anything. But what it will do is now commit to having the right people at the table, so that folks who have been advocating and putting forth these truths and those who have been wanting to ignore it can no longer act like you didn't. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about a system acting like it didn't know, right? A system acting like it didn't know. So when it gets documented again, but because it is part of this formal declaration of being a health crisis, then we can start to call things out. Not trying to villainize people, but the stuff has to be fixed, but it only if we recognize it. The other thing I will say, because we're winding up, is this. The one way that people can help is study so you can understand the issues, so that when we share our pain, it doesn't feel like it's being dismissed or like you've heard it before. Because we can feel your energy. If you get it, we can feel that energy, and that promotes healing. You know when you've been understood and heard by someone, and you know when you haven't.